Pedo. Yes, pediatric dentistry. That's what we're going to be talking about today. How to successfully match into pediatrics and the journey behind it. Today, we're joined with, Dr. Kalin, who's going to share with us his journey. We're going to be talking about why he selected pedo, how he prepared for his applications, the schools, how did he come up with his list, and the interviews, how many interviews, the interview day, what to expect. And we're also going to be talking about how he formulated his rank list. And then he's going to share some details about the program that he matched at. And also, he's going to share some insights, tips, and advice for those of you that are applying to pedo, looking to become a board certified pediatric dentist. So be sure to stay all the way through to today's episode. Also, today's episode is being brought to you by Get Into Dental Residency Challenge. Yes, a challenge. Get Into Dental Residency Challenge, which is the ultimate resource to help you jumpstart your application and your candidacy for residency. For more details, check out the link down below and go to getintodentalresidencychallenge.com. All right. Today, we're going to kick it off. Doc, introduce yourself for some of us who are meeting you for the first time, and just give us some background information.
Yeah, my name is Dr. Kalin. I'm from Dallas, Texas originally, moved to Houston for dental school, and I graduated in 2022. So I've been working now primarily in more of a general dental setting, focusing on pediatric patients, and that's how I grew my love into pediatric dentistry. And I moved to South Texas for a year and a half, and that was a phenomenal experience for me, moving to more of a rural, underserved area and working in an environment similar to pediatric dental residency, actually. And now I'm back in Houston working in a similar population as well. So I'm really excited that, I started this journey of becoming a pediatric dentist, and I'm excited for the things to come.
So the next thing is what everybody wants, right? And it should be the first step in getting into and matching in your program, which is the interview. You want to put together your application so that you get to the next step, which is the interview. So let's talk a little bit about that related to number of interviews. If you want to share where you got the interviews at as well, and what the interview day was like for you, or
Sure.
days, because I know you had multiple interviews. So what the
Yeah.
days were like.
Sure. I did have 8 interview invites. I attended 7 interviews and I ranked 6 programs. And like I said, for me, the toughest part was more leading up to the interviews because that was kind of out of my control. But the day of the interviews was actually pretty relaxing. That's the cool thing about pedo is that the interviews itself, they kind of really want to get to know who you are because they clearly like who you are on paper. And I'm going to go back really quickly to the externships. I highly, highly recommend externships because I did maybe, I don't remember the top of my head, but maybe 6 or 7 in-person externships. And then I did about 2 virtual externships. Some programs will send out an email and being like, hey, we're going to do a virtual externship and whoever wants to join can join. But I also had a few virtual externships with just a program director that I emailed. Or, for example, when we went to when you encouraged me to go to AAPD, the very first person that I talked to happened to be a program director that I had no idea. And she was like, oh, you're a general dentist. What are you doing here? And I was telling her my story, how I really want to go to pedo. And we kept in contact, and this was in May. So right when applications opened, we got into contact, and that's actually, I think, what played a big role into getting an interview too. I kept in contact with her. I talked to one of the residents with her as well. So those are something that I really, really encourage is externships. And of those 6 in-person externships, I think I got interviews at 4 of them. So
Wow.
and and
Wow.
2 more were virtual. So a total of maybe 6 of the 8, I had some sort of like externship related to that. So I think externships play a big role. And in transitioning to the interview day, that really matters because you've talked to the residents and you've talked to the faculty. So they already know a little bit about you when you're doing your interviews and your interview days. So it just makes everything so much easier, honestly. So I was very comfortable during those interviews. And so to kind of answer your question, a lot of the programs had socials either the day before or after the interview. And then we would just go and just kind of meet some of the residents. If there was some of the faculty there, just kind of, they would ask any of the questions that we had. And then really the interviews kind of varied in styles. The first few I had were panel styles. So you're in a room by yourself with 4 or 5 different faculties, and they're kind of just rapid fire asking you different questions. And then I had some almost speed dating interviews where it's like 10 minutes with one faculty, and then you move on to the next room and then the next room and the next room. So it's like a total of like 40 minutes with 4 different faculties, and you're spending 10 minutes each. And then I had maybe 1 or 2 interviews. I was just talking with one faculty member for about 30-40 minutes. So that's kind of the differences in the interviews that I had. I would say the toughest part was really just traveling from each city, because the way my interview schedule was really like, I think I flew to Tampa for the first one, and then I had to fly to Phoenix the next day. And then I spent the weekend in Phoenix, and then I had to fly to Philly to do a virtual social and interview, and then do the actual interview in Philly the next day. And then the social, the one after, fly to Houston for a day to work. Then the next day, and that same night, fly to New York. So it was just a lot of like traveling and fatigue, but
Yeah.
it's just a great experience.
Yeah, and it's an experience that's part of the process. Like you guys will keep hearing me say that it's the process, and it's very important that you start to understand what you know what to expect, but also all these things that Doc is sharing is part of the process, and part of the process also, as you highlighted, Doc, is going the meeting to the specialty meeting and the importance of that because you don't know who you're going to meet there. You don't know who you're just going to occasionally be introduced to, not necessarily know that what their role is. I mean, you know they're a dentist, you know they have some interest in pedo, but you don't know if they're a program director or if they're a board certified, one of the dots that oversee the board certification, whether they're a resident. You don't know. But that's the one of the importances and reasons why you go to the meeting so that you can find out what you need to know and who you're going to know, who you're going to meet. So very I'm glad you share that part of the process of going to the meetings and how that sound like it also made you feel more comfortable in
Mhm.
your discussions and interactions and most importantly your conversations with these individuals at these meetings, your future colleagues, right?
And the other thing I think is really important actually is that it can give you a bailout answer for like an interview. If because you can't prepare for every single question they have, but I
Hmm.
remember there was a really difficult question. I don't remember the actual question, but I remember saying something about AAPD, and this is what I learned during one of those CE courses. And I think it was a CE course about team talks. And so, I basically worked in an answer of, oh, I went to AAPD. I attended this team talks meeting. This is how I'm implementing what I learned from that CE course into my daily life. And this is how I want to implement it also as a pediatric dental resident and a future pediatric dentist too. So having those experiences that a lot of the other people may not do, like going to AAPD, will also help make you stand out better on your interview, because it's just a little line on your CV or a little paragraph on your CV. But when you can like show and express, your enthusiasm and excitement of going to APD, what you learned, and it can really just help also emphasize who you are and what you're trying to become during that interview to make you stand out from everyone else too. So I think that also is an important aspect that we don't think about until when we reflect after we go through this process.
Yeah. And that's why reflection and doing an assessment throughout the process and at the end is so important as well. Uh, Guys, hope this has been helpful. And we just talked about how to become a pediatric dentist and how to match and the journey that it takes to get to that end point. Doc, so happy we had the opportunity to work together and not only launch you and jumpstart your candidacy, but also solidify it by matching. So congratulations to you, man, again. And so great to have this final result and you being able to get to your future desired state. Now you can see it, right? You can see it and feel it.
Exactly.
And feel it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Darwin. I know we worked together for this whole journey, and it was an amazing journey, and you pushed me hard, and that's what I really wanted and needed. So, didn't have to go through this process again. So I'm really excited that we did this together, and thank you so much.
Hey, well, thank you for allowing me to be your accountability partner and kind of work with you and push you, like you said, but also another reason why it's important to have community, right? To stay connected, to ask for help, but also go through a process in life, in this particular case, a professional development opportunity process with others, right? Because you can do it. You can do it by yourself, but why? When there's others and people that are out here that can help you along your journey, right?
And you were a former program director, so you kind of know what to look for and what other program directors are looking for in your application too, or interviews too. So that really helps also. So that was definitely something that I'm super excited that we went through this process together. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. And for those of you listening, watching, I'm going to say thank you in advance for going to the next video. Go to the next episode. Go to the next episode right now. Go, go, go.